Hello there, it's the Fragrance Apprentice. Fragrances that I'd rebuy and fragrances that I wouldn't. This is a good idea to help you kind of know what I'm thinking in terms of fragrances that I would be willing to pay top dollar for again, and fragrances that I just simply wouldn't. I wouldn't be interested in buying these again. And some of these that I wouldn't buy again may surprise you. This might stun you, but I would not rebuy Christian Dior's Eau Sauvage Parfum. I've been wanting this fragrance for a very long time, and I smelt it. I bought it. I bought it legitimately from Boots. This is an actual Christian Dior. But people on Instagram immediately said, oh, you know, that looks like the newer version. And that was a bit of a red flag. And then I sprayed it. This is disappointing. This is not the Eau Sauvage Parfum from even about 3 or 4 years ago. This has been reformulated. This smells a lot weaker, a lot more watery. It isn't as strong as it once was. I'm happy to have it. It's the only Eau Sauvage Parfum that I could have right now without paying something ridiculous on eBay, and I don't want to do that. I'm happy to have it. Might end up even on a couple springtime lists because I do enjoy it and I do like it, but it's lost the edge, it's lost the earthiness that you would find in fragrances like this in Water Portugal by Creed. It's still lovely, and the neroli is still very good and genuine, and that's all great, and it's still very clean and it's still very clear, but it's not the ferocious, earthy beast that it once was. So I'm happy to have this. I'll use it up probably next 2 years. The spritzers on this are very, very heavy, so I'll probably get through this very easily. But then after that, I'm done. But going from one purchase that I had recently to another purchase that I had recently that I will definitely be buying again, this is BVLGARI's Man in Black. Oh boy, is this good. I, again, have been wanting this for quite a while, and I thought that because I own Spice Bomb Extreme, I wouldn't need this. Boy, was I wrong. Spice Bomb Extreme is a lovely, lovely, wonderful Christmas decoration of a fragrance. This is a man's cold weather fragrance. I wore this on Halloween, and I actually double dipped. I also wore it on November 1st as well. Yeah, I can see myself wearing this quite a lot. This is a spicy, musky fragrance. It is similar that it has that vanilla, gingery element from Spice Bomb Extreme, but there's just so much more. There's so much more wearability. There's a lot more of a casual nature to it, and it's very, very confident. Very, very confident. So yes, I would totally buy this again. It's an absolute beast. You'll be hearing me talk about this a lot. Maybe as much as I've been talking about Ombre Leather this season. Speaking of which, oh, here it is, Ombre Leather by Tom Ford. Yeah, I'd buy this again. In fact, this is my second bottle. I would buy this again. I haven't smelt the Parfum yet, but I think that from what I've heard between this and the Parfum, I'd probably go for this, but I'll have to wait and see. See, the thing is with Ombre Leather is that it's just so damn good, and it's just so damn sexy. But yes, I'll be buying this. I'll probably even upgrade to the 100 milliliter, to the bigger size, because I've just been soaking myself in this, and it's been amazing. So I love BVLGARI Man in Black, and in fact, the whole BVLGARI Man line in general has been quite something, quite amazing. The problem has been this. Now, I've even featured this on a couple lists, and I enjoy it. It's very, very bland, very, very straightforward, but I don't think that I'm going to be rebuying this because I don't think I'll need to. I'm never going to use this up. This is an incredibly generic fragrance, and for somebody who's just starting out and who doesn't know what they're doing, and they want something that's really straightforward, and they want something that's really clean and isn't going to offend anybody, this is going to be great for you. This is nice. I mean, the Glacial Essence thing is cool because it's this nice, cooling, snowy, relaxing fragrance, and there's a bit of citrus, tiny bit of marine, but mostly it's very bleu. Let's go for 2 summer fragrances that I would definitely buy again. I've had an up and down journey with this. This is Gentleman Cologne by Givenchy. Really up and down relationship, mostly because the opening is just so damn good. Always love the opening, but the dry down has always been kind of like irritating because it becomes kind of a little bit mushy and generic. But this fragrance has got such a good opening where you're in this beautiful stream and there's a waterfall behind you, and you can smell the earthiness of like the soil around you and the green grassy nature, and there's like citrus and lemon trees and things like that, and behind you is this incredible waterfall. That's what this is, the opening, with vetiver as well. Quite nice, rooty vetiver. The opening is so good that it's made me forgive the dry down. This is the only fragrance that's ever happened. Another one that I'm actually running out of at the moment is this bad boy. I will buy this again, but it's so pricey, so pricey. I'll have to wait until after Christmas to repurchase this and get a backup bottle. This is IOCO Mirage 23. This is the Italian Aventus, as I've mentioned before. It's Aventus that we all know and love, but you strip away the birchy tar element to it, and you get rid of the bergamot, and instead you just flood it with neroli. And it's really high quality, super good. I prefer this to Aventus. You might not, be warned, you might not prefer this to Aventus, you might just be smitten with Aventus. But for me, this is that, like the Amalfi Coast, Portofino, Manarola, it's all of that, right? It's that landscape, beautiful, beautiful landscape, taken with the Aventus DNA. And it's an absolute smasher. I've worn so much of this, and I am running out, and you know, have to get it again. So now we get to the third one that I wouldn't rate. So I was going to say purchase. That's Toast from London. That's an obscure reference. Don't know if anybody watch Toast of London? I would not repurchase this. This is a controversial one, actually, for some people. I wouldn't repurchase this. Acqua di Gio Profumo. Apparently this is being discontinued. Wild, if that's true. I really enjoyed this at the time when I bought this, and I stand by everything that I said in that review, because that's exactly how I felt at the time. But recently, and especially this summer that just passed, I wore this, and I thought the opening was great and killer. And I was like, after about 2 or 3 hours, this isn't as good as I remember it being. This is actually kind of a little bit blunt, a little bit generic. And the staying power isn't really that good. It's not as good as I remember it. You know, when I first smelt this and I was wowed by it, and the elements of rosemary and thyme in this fragrance were pretty killer and pretty cool, especially for a design fragrance which usually doesn't have that. With the Acqua di Gio DNA, I was like, that's sick. This summer I wore this about 5-6 times because I was really trying to get into it, but I didn't feel it. And yeah, I've got about half of this 40ml left. I heard that it was being discontinued. I just wasn't interested. Just wasn't. I could have easily bought it at a good price at the moment, but I was like, no, I'm good. One fragrance that I wore all around this summer constantly, and I wore it in the spring constantly, and I've worn it in the autumn semi-constantly because it's a little bit difficult to wear now, although it is pretty good, is this. Sunset Riot All Saints. I might have to rebuy this next year. I am going through this like a dose of salts, as we say. I have over 200 fragrances in my collection. When you see that dent right there, out of over 200 fragrances to choose from, that dent right there is significant, seeing as I only got this in April. I've told you before, I'll tell you again. Baccarat Rouge 540 DNA. You take away some of the candy floss, you add some black pepper, you add some woodiness, you add a bit of citrus that actually weirdly develops near the end. It's kind of very cologne-like, very wearable for a man, very enjoyable, quite sexy, quite enjoyable, people-pleasing, no doubt. People enjoy it. One of the most underrated fragrances that I've seen. One of the most underrated uses of Baccarat Rouge 540 DNA that I've ever seen. I would buy this. I'm probably going to have to buy this soon as well. All Saints, you better not discontinue this. I will not be happy. Another fragrance purchase from, quite recently, MOLINARD. CUIR, right? Not CUIR. 39 quid on All Beauty. All Beauty's legit as far as I'm concerned. I've never had a bad time with them. Not sponsored, that's just who I've used. They use All Beauty Notino and Sabina Store. They have European releases that ship to the UK before the UK has them. So there's a little secret for you. This is that good shit. I'm going to say this, I'm going to get some backlash for it. If Creed did a leather fragrance, this is what it would smell like. Now, not Creed's quality of the 1990s, mind. Maybe Creed's quality of the mid-2010s. You know, it's not completely like insanely natural or anything like that, but it is very natural for 39 quid. This is totally what Creed would do if they made a leather fragrance. You heard it here first. CUIR by MOLINARD. Sick scent. Another controversial one. I'm leaving the most controversial probably to the last. Ferragamo's Uomo. I've kind of done this fragrance now. I loved it in 2016 and 2017. Adored it. Thought it was great. But I just kind of outgrew it. I've worn it every now and then this year. I've just not felt as comfortable with it, to be honest. I've felt as though I'm older than this fragrance. Now, that's just me personally. I've seen people in the comments say, George, I'm 37, 38, I wear Uomo by Ferragamo, and that's cool. And that could probably work for you. I'm not saying anybody should not wear this. If you're 80 years old and you're rocking Warmo, more power to you. I think that's really cool. But for me personally, as George, I've outgrown it. It doesn't really suit me anymore. I do like the smell still. I might upgrade to the signature version, which is a bit more mature. Tiramisu, kind of, but it's mostly chocolate cocoa powder, like drinking chocolate powder, with some cream and a tiny bit of coffee. And it's nice. It's really pleasant. I still would recommend it, especially to younger people, early 20s, late teenagers. I love this fragrance for you. But I'm now, I'm Vulgari Man in Black. That's where I am in my journey. It's funny talking about Warmo because my fragrance that's kind of like Warmo now is, well, I'm more going towards Ombre Leather and Vulgari Man in Black. That's where I am right now. But also, I really, really love this. This is Strong With You Intensely. This is a king, an absolute king. A completely brilliant designer fragrance. One of the best out there. I'm going to be doing a video soon comparing this with Absolutely and Freeze. But for me, this is really just working. And I said in my cold weather compliment video, basically that when you try and get compliments with cold weather fragrances, what you've got to do is you've got to make something that is either sweet or something that's kind of fresh, if you can. And if you can combine the two, if you can combine something that is sweet and chocolatey and vanilla and chestnut and toffee and marshmallows and all that kind of stuff that we all love and that we all enjoy with cold weather, if you can do that and you match that up with a cleanliness and a freshness, you're going to get compliments ad nauseum, because that is the way that perfumiers work. They will try and combine those two elements. This is the perfect example of that mindset. One that I will be rebuying very soon. In fact, I will probably have to maybe ask Father Christmas to get me a backup bottle of this. Bleu de Chanel Parfum. I have had a whale of a time with this fragrance. I have adored wearing this fragrance. Such a shock. I've told them the story of how I came by this fragrance a million times. I won't even tell you. I've had a fantastic time with this fragrance wearing this. Had nice compliments, had nice attention, but it's just that shower gel blue element that we all know and love, but with some musky kind of incense thing going on that really matures it. This makes me feel like a clean boss, right? Because it's got that blue sentimentality, it's got the shower gel, which we'll all get and all appreciate, but it's just so much fun, and it's just so confident and so kick-ass that I freaking love it. And yeah, I've used up nearly all of this. I've worn this a shit ton. So here's my final fragrance that I wouldn't rebuy. Just hear me out. I wouldn't rebuy this. No way. Some of you will go, well, yeah, no shit, because some of you are not a fan of this fragrance, but some of you are diehards, right? The Jeremy fans are diehard of this. I think it's okay, and I've got it, but I've had this for years now. Just buy a L'Oreal Sport, dude. Just buy a L'Oreal Sport. It's just fantastic, so much superior, so brilliant. I know it's a bit of extra money. Save your money, invest in something better. Not something that I dislike, but it's so boring. It's tremendously, tremendously boring. And a bit played out, and a bit old. This fragrance is getting old. And it smells old. It's starting to smell dated, and it's starting to smell as though it doesn't really belong in this era of fragrances anymore. I still wear it very, very occasionally, casually, and sure, it will people please. But I think that time hasn't been very kind to Versace Pour Homme. It's been very kind to Versace Pour Homme Oud Noir, and it's been probably even kinder to Dylan Blue. But this, not so much. Final two are some niche fragrances. This is SM Cafe by Strangers. I'm halfway through this. Just wonderful. I've talked about it so many times. Coffee, usually mix it with lavender to make it pleasant and comfortable. This didn't go for that. This went for beeswax, this went for tonka, this went for myrrh, this went for incense, this went for tobacco. Lots and lots of dirty little things in this fragrance to make such a brilliant, delicious fragrance. My favorite coffee fragrance, probably still to this day. Wonderful stuff. And we're going to end on a real high. I would rebuy Behold Patchouli by Daniel Gallagher. Terry's Chocolate Orange mixed with Musk Ravageur. What's not to like? Daniel Gallagher's masterpiece. I would rebuy this. I did not buy this, just full disclosure. He sent this to me, but he sends everything that he does to me and a select number of reviewers. He's actually sent me 2 other things, which I didn't review because I really didn't like them. But I probably will review them. Sorry, Daniel. Well, you're gonna have to take it, buddy. I'm a critic at heart. But yeah, his 2 new ones weren't really for me. but behold patchouli, legit. So there were 10 fragrances that I would repurchase and 5 that I wouldn't. Hope that you got something out of this, hope that you enjoyed it, and thanks so much. I will see you tomorrow, and if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, you know what to do, and I will see you.